What's up, y'all? It's Cartier Rob. And before we get started with the show today, I just want to say it's been a minute. I do want to apologize. I've been busy. Not that I don't want to give you all good relationship content. It's just I had to start focusing on P&G. But we're back. And as we return... See, I'm DJing and doing all this stuff. As we return, we're going to be giving you that good relationship content. And to my right, I have...
Adriana.
Adriana is back. And welcome to Relationship Dynamics. In a minute, really quick. How have you been?
I've been good. Work and trying to mix in some traveling and work and trying to explore some new opportunities and work. So, yeah, how have you been?
Ditto. Trying to get prepared, trying to navigate, and I'll be honest with you, trying to figure out what therapy / public speaking / hit shit kind of like what that looks like in 2025.
Yeah.
But you know what it's time for?
Relationship dynamics.
Yes.
Okay.
But also
valid or not. So here I am. We're here for valid or not, everybody.
So, just like y'all know, you're going to hit me with something if it's valid or not. And I'm actually, before I respond, I'm going to write out in the middle of the video. So, you're going to hit me with the video.
Okay.
And before I give my response, I got to let you know if it's valid or not.
Okay.
So.
All right. 3, 2, internet permitting.
Hey, Will, I got time today, brother. I swear to God, I got good time today. Can I please just go ahead and give you your props for everything that you've done for us and so on and so forth. But right now, I need to speak to you on a man-to-man. This personal to me, and I feel like you playing with us, Will. Please don't play no more. Get your ass in the studio and do this. Now come on now, Willie.
So I said super valid.
Oh, shit.
Super valid.
That was trash. Come
Super
on.
valid.
Really? How is that valid?
Okay, I'm sorry, but I have not been... Will Smith changed for me with that whole Jada thing, and I hate that I'm saying that.
Yeah.
So, like, now when I see him, I'm very annoyed.
Yeah.
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 So, am I giving the wrong answer? Am I giving the wrong answer?
I think so.
I think I'm giving the wrong answer then.
So this is a nah.
This is nah.
This is a super nah.
Oh, super not valid. Oh, I'm sorry.
This is super not valid.
It's super not valid. I'm giving the wrong answer.
Not valid.
Not valid, by the way. I just, I really wish Jada didn't do that to him. Make him not valid because, anything he does now, like, I appreciate what he was trying to do. We know how your life actually is and goes.
Just stick to this.
Just stick to that.
Just slide.
Wait, what was that one? I'm never gonna remember it. It's the switch. Do you remember the switch when he's like, get it down and switch? Ooh, no. He could redo that one, and I would jam to it.
I think I have to listen to that.
You have to clip that in because
okay.
It's a great moment in time. No one likes it, but I appreciate it. What he was trying to do.
Okay.
No cussing, but still telling women to shake some butt because that's what he would say.
Astronomical things. Meaning, yeah, the only reason why I switched mine because mine was a little bit more wholesome. It was like a guy and he was telling his crush, he was like, "Oh, I have a surprise for you." He's like, and he popped back up with a guitar and made a personal song.
Aww,
very wholesome.
That's really nice.
But this Will Smith, man, it's just like when your heroes become not even your villains. It's just kind of like, what fucking happened?
Yeah,
it's like Will Smith picked up liquor, and it just feels really bad.
Yeah, I like how that kind of goes into, the whole Jada kind of messing up his image. That goes into what we're going to talk to today.
Exactly, because, like, it's the constant... We were talking about this for the show. We're just kind of like, Will, just, like, let it go. Yeah. Like, sometimes you don't have to say something,
right,
and it says a lot.
Yeah.
But...
Your show is syndicated. Go ahead and sit back, brother.
You know what? Because I am manning a lot of the things... would you like to keep us on pace? What's our first question for today?
Our first question. Sorry, I'm not ill prepared. I just need to pull it up.
No, I'm the one.
Our first question today, everybody, would be: what does carrying your emotional labor for relationship look like?
That's actually
Is that our first question?
That's perfect.
Okay.
Like we literally just talk about carrying your own emotional labor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious, when you hear that question, what comes up for you?
It's a selfish thing. I think maybe. I'm questioning it as I'm processing it all. I think when I think of carrying emotional labor, I think of suppressing my own emotions for the relationship to run more smooth, or to kind of like set it aside, to focus on like that person's needs in that moment, which doesn't work, by the way, but but that's what I always think, the emotional labor of suppressing my own emotions.
Okay. Now, I think for me, I hear that differently. Obviously, it's kind of like, I'm one of the people who made the question.
Yeah.
But I think carrying your emotional labor is, when you have two people, you're in a relationship, there are two emotions constantly going. Mm-hmm. And at times, you have to carry some of the emotional burden for your partner, because I feel like that's part of sport. Mm-hmm. And I think, and I'll take a 4th and 40 type of a play, I think a lot of men miss the boat when it comes to children, and that like postpartum depression is mm-hmm. like, all right, you're not acting in this way. Mm-hmm. And I think the emotional load is, my partner just had a child. Mm-hmm. Of course, they're not feeling like themselves, meaning how can I take as much stress off of this person? Mm-hmm. And I think for me, and I've coined this phrase where it's kind of like, after a woman has a baby, I have to say it's like the second pregnancy, because, she's going to want to snap back. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes, in my opinion, I think when people say taking that emotional labor, because it goes negatively, it's like you have to be a punching bag. No, you just have to mirror calmness or stillness
or redirect
an emotion for your person when they can't do it.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
So,
because like when you're pregnant, I mean, I never experienced it, but from what I've read, because I need to be prepared out here in the world. Basically, all your emotions are building up because you're going into growing a person. Yeah. But once that person is out of your body, you're re-regulating your emotions.
True.
And your hormones. So like basically you kind of are going through this whole second pregnancy, because now you have to figure out, well, damn, what am I now that I'm not growing a person, and now I'm helping a baby survive. So
well, I use it's definitely not an extreme example. It is a very real example. I went that far because I feel that is the easiest terms to explain. Yeah. So if we actually take it down a little bit and just go straight into dating, mm-hmm. What do you think that works for like singledom?
Man. For that, I kind of believe I think when you're initially dating, you're kind of auditioning. You're not really like being all forthcoming with the type of person that you are and the things that come with like dealing with you. Because that could be a lot. And sometimes people don't even know what it comes with dealing with themselves for another person.
Thank you.
So
that's so true.
So I think we're all just like I don't want to say, I'm not saying being facetious, but I think we're just putting literally our best foot forward. To kind of like hook them. And then once we're around this person every day all the time, then it becomes to like you're letting things go and becoming more easy and carefree and more open. But then what could be perceived as crazy, because the person's so used to you being your best self, starts coming, and then it's like, well, okay, how am I gonna navigate this? How am I going to navigate myself with this, and is this going to work for me in the long run?
I like what do you mean getting your hooks set on?
Well, it's because it's like you're basically like, I can do I'll take you out to dinner, I can do this, I listen to your thoughts and your feelings. Oh, I like this song, when I really don't, like things like that. You're more open to accepting things because you're trying to impress someone, you're trying to get that initial lust factor and those butterfly feelings.
So you've been lying that one time?
No. Because I think, have I put my best foot forward? Yes. But I'm also the type of crazy that I can't really hide it. So. So.
I was like, hey,
So take that for what you want, you know?
Hey, we're not gonna go that far, but hey, we're all crazy. Just want to let you know what's really normal.
Yeah, nothing really. Nothing's normal because that's boring.
Exactly.
No, it is boring.
Exactly.
You know, I don't want like excitement in the way of. I don't want no like. I hate you, Jody. Like I don't want none of that stuff.
No.
Just a little, a little autism behavior, maybe a little Tourette's action.
Would you love me if I'm an ant? Would you love me if I'm an ant type of?
Oh, I do it all the time.
Okay,
so.
there we go. Yeah.
If I was a worm.
Ugh. Because I kind of want to like stack and rank it up. I think I kind of formulate this question, if I'm being honest with you, because I think I'm naturally a person who wants to make sure everyone's comfortable around me, / like I indirectly take on the emotional labor and burden of other people, but not in the way of like, do you need anything? No, come on. I'm just like, there's like a chill way of doing it. And sometimes in like the process of like wanting to put your best foot forward, I think we put ourselves in roles where I want to show this person this thing, but you're also setting yourself up and putting yourself in a role that is not sustainable. And I'm just curious, what do you think are those unsustainable roles that we put ourselves in that is trying to, impress or put our hooks in people?
Looking good every day for like physically would be like, getting dressed and being, stepping out every day and like having every new shoe that we like rotating each day. And, sometimes we just like, sometimes I don't want to do all that. And sometimes you're going to catch me in I have my own pair of Hoochie Daddy shorts, but they don't look that well on me. So, and sometimes I just want to go to a simple lunch. I don't have to go to anything fancy or like you can come over and I'll make you a bologna sandwich because that's what type of time I'm on today. But you also saw me last week when I put on that dress and we went out to dinner and I offered you my credit card, but thank you for not taking it. So, we know it's there.
I need you with a GoPro.
But like, that's the physical thing. I also think, suppressing, the things that we don't like, sometimes if I hear you smack, people who smack their food, Lord, I know it's good. I enjoy it too. I'm eating the same thing. But like, that's like something so small that I could just be like, hey, so when you are wanting to talk while we're at dinner, can you make sure your food's not in your mouth? But something like that. But it'll also, like, I feel like when you keep it to yourself so long, it kind of comes out. It can come out rude. Because at that point, you're kind of like, hey, man, can you swallow your food before you talk to me like that?
Hey, yo.
Literally.
Hey, yo.
And then also just like wearing a bad day, I think could go differently. Because sometimes, you're going to get a couple little like punches for the day that I had. And I think when I'm getting to know someone, I'm very much just like either trying to reserve myself. So like, hey, we're not going to talk as much today. Or, pretend like everything's fine. But I think, I'm not in a position to trust you into holding my bad day. So I hold it on my own. But I'm also want you to feel like I can hold your bad day. So in return, I'm putting my stuff aside to be like, what happened? What's wrong? Like, why didn't this work out for you? How can I help? And then I'm like, well, damn, I'll just deal with this tomorrow. So I think that's what kind of makes it like unsustainable for over time.
Yeah, no, I agree. I super agree with that. I say with a lot of these relationship talks, and there's a lot of 30 seconds, 40-second clips on things that matter where like people will watch relationship dynamics, so they'll watch some video and they're like, oh, I'm enlightened, and then they do this and then it works for a little bit and then they get caught in the same like everyday cycle. And the common denominator to not just even relationship talk is life is about work.
Yeah.
Not work in the sense of the American dream, not work in the sense of 9 to 5, but anything we do in life, or just to be human, is work. So there's going to be a time where you're magnificent at communicating, or you're like, I've been, dolling myself up, because I know my partner really appreciates that. And this one day, it's the Hoochie Daddy Shorts a thon. So, and I just need that. And I think, as a people in relationships, we gotta be able to communicate that even at the earlier stages, where I'm not this perfect being, because like when you are going from like, oh, I have no one that truly knows me, to finding that you just hold so tightly, like a white knuckle, like grip on the steering wheel. Like, I don't want to let this go. And in some ways you're setting yourself up for failure, because I think a lot of the stuff can be solved with creative problem solving.
Yeah.
So that's just so interesting. And I think as guys, we do a bad job of this, where we don't say what's bothering us, because we try to either get the coochie, or we're trying to get this networking opportunity or something, rather than you be setting yourself up for success. When, cause I don't know, I think I'm just more or less getting into the guy's brain, where we want to keep the peace, and in our journey to keep the peace, saying something about why their peace is disrupted will also help the peace to be maintained, because everyone knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Now, the common denominator is if there's a partner like yourself who's like, all right, I will listen to that,
Yeah.
But I don't know. Do you catch what I'm throwing?
No, for sure. Because a lot of the times, like, I think it could be vice versa. It's
Yeah.
like, I want to say this, but I don't want to argue, fight, or be disappointed. So let's just keep, let's just keep doing this. Because, we're on the couch. We're just watching a rerun of Daredevil or something. And Daredevil. It's a great show. And possibly this would be the opportunity to be like, hey, can we pause this so I can talk about how I feel? But I also know that we have, dinner plans later, and I want to make sure those happen, and I want to have a good night. So I don't want to risk this conversation going in a way to where the night does not end up well. But then, 2 days later, because I didn't have that conversation and it's still weighing on me, I, get a little tick. And all of a sudden, something so small that you did or didn't do blows up. And then I'm trying to explain why I blew up, and who cares, because I just called you a whole bunch of BANs and whatever the heck else. And
Wait,
you're like,
BANs?
bitch ass nigga.
Oh, no.
Right. Which, you shouldn't talk to a man like that.
No,
that's not your
no,
man.
no,
That's
no.
your son. And you don't want to talk to a man like that. But just saying.
Nah.
So I think it's important to communicate. And I think when dating, especially at our big age, because, over 30, you got to figure out what we're doing with each other. That you need to establish good communication.
Yeah. And we have to get over the farce and of you should just know.
Yeah.
No.
What do girls be posting? What have I posted? I posted it. You can't handle me at my worst. You don't deserve me at my best.
Know they got to start doing now is when you go to IKEA and you buy something, and then the manual, you should already know.
Yeah.
You don't need no instructions. Just put it
Exactly.
together. You be like, what the? I need a refund.
For sure.
No, and I appreciate that. So, with this, y'all kind of put a nice little button on it. It's the emotional labor. If you're in a relationship, it's two people. And yeah, there are times where you don't want to be self-indulgent and always nitpick, but there's also a time where you do got to speak up. And you not speaking up is on you, because keeping the peace and being a peace protector also is a detriment, because you can't grow in your emotions or the emotional labor if you're not with, or I shouldn't say with a person, if you're not willing to share that with your person,
Yeah, because it's that's responsibility falls on you, so they can grow and they can change and they can figure out if they want to deal with your shit and all that.
Well,
in the nicest way possible,
Well, this was cool, and guess what, y'all? We have a pretty emotional. I gotta get better with these ad pivots. We have an emotional ad that's gonna really tug on the heartstrings, and we'll be right back.
Dynamics with Rob and Adriana. we are now going to get into a video that we were talking about earlier. It is The Illusions of Singleness.
Yes. Thank you for bringing us in. That was perfect. I want to make sure I get this right. Because this creator definitely needs to get a big shout out, and hopefully he doesn't copyright strike us. Because I think this message was really well, and I think Eric Thomas said this. Hopefully I said his name right. It's the reason why he went to get a 4-year degree and a PhD is sometimes you have to be able to speak the language of other folks to get your message across, because sometimes, because he could, ET's from the street. He knows how to speak to street people. But he said, I went back to school so I know I could speak to the PhD folks, the white people. Meaning, sometimes I don't think being a therapist is the only way to speak to someone. It's just like one vehicle. Now, this guy, his name is Justin Scott, on Instagram. Please go follow him. He has a dope message, because I think he cracked what's going on with our culture to a science. And he says it a little bit different than I have, than Adriana has said. And then I think we just got to listen.
It's going to sound crazy. They're going to say I've lost my mind. Because we're going to get into it right now. A lot of people, a lot of y'all are not single. You're emotionally in witness protection. Love can't reach you. Not because it's not trying, but because you built a system to block it and called it self-worth. We're gonna dig into this. Don't call me crazy yet. The illusion of singleness. You say you're single, but emotionally you're still defending territory that no one is attacking anymore. You're dating from a trauma perimeter, not an open heart. You're not single. You're guarded. You're not. You mistaken solitude for strategy. You believe you're waiting for the right one, but really you're filtering every potential partner through an algorithm built by betrayal. You built walls so high, even good love can't climb in. And here's the thing. This ain't even just directed at women. Brothers ain't been in. I ain't seen brothers in long-term relationships recently. We included everybody. It's a self-protection as policy. At some point, protection became policy. It's policy. It's, I understand. Not a boundary you set, but a law you pass. Every conversation is evaluated for its exit strategy. Every compliment is met with suspicion. Every safe person is treated like a future threat. And you memorize red flags.
Damn.
Which is good. It's good. Right? It's good. But you never studied the green ones. So you don't date people.
Damn.
You end up dating ghosts wearing faces of your own past.
That's so true.
Thing is, this is how you cause that season where love can't reach you. Because sometimes it's not that love won't come, it's that your body don't believe in it no more. You flinch at kindness. You disassociate when someone stays. You distrust softness. When love gets close, you shrink to a version of yourself that's easier to manage but harder to love. You loved it.
Bar.
Okay, it gave up knocking on the door.
Shout out to Tommy.
Here's the thing. This is why I always had to make sure it was, not gender time. Because healing is not about letting go of the person who hurt you. It's not. That's hard to hear. But it's about releasing the version of yourself that never got to feel safe in the first place.
Ooh.
You don't need to become more lovable. You need to become more reachable. Okay, this means letting go. This means letting your policies expire. This means accepting that your safety plan was brilliant. But now it's outdated. Your healing got you here, but your softness will get you home. It's going to get you back, right? And here's the thing. That's why I'm saying there's a difference between being single and being in a season where love can't reach you. And if that season's ending good, you don't need to date, though. You don't. In my opinion, you don't need to date. You just need to unlock your door and then sit still long enough to hear someone knock.
This dot cipher, I'm gonna give you 100% credit, my man. I've seen you on TikTok and I've seen you on the gram. Once again, don't copyright strike this video. We're 100% credit to that dude. Hashtag black relationships, hashtag black love, blah 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 blah, all that stuff. But that whole 2-minute blurb bars. What are your thoughts?
So you could just at me next time, brother. Well, that, and also I didn't hear a point that wasn't correct. I think it goes for the people who go in and out of relationships and all those relationships fail, so they go back into another one because they like that closeness, but then they don't realize what they're not liking and why they're failing, and why they're possibly the common denominator of why their relationships are failing. Personally, I think, from previous relationship dynamics, we've seen me on my, like, I've definitely been on my, thing. And I think that's, one of the things that I can relate to with illusions of being single. Because I'm like, I'm single, but I'm already in the headspace that the man that is approaching me is not of quality. So let me go ahead and, talk my little shit, pop it, spend a little time with you. But then I'm already failed you in this course. So you have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And your experience was probably less than it would have been had I been more open to receiving whatever energy you're trying to give me. And me taking the time to successfully determine whether you are of quality or not, versus me just already being like, oh, you're talking to me, you must be, you ain't shit. So I get it.
Damn.
Yeah.
I think two things from this that really hit me was the safety, we're battling against our own strategies, and this situation is letting us know that your exit strategy worked because you were already building it. And then what brings you back is your softness.
Yeah.
I think for me, I've grown to stop arguing with certain people when you talk about engineering, math, and all this other stuff, that stuff equals. That stuff equals something. But sometimes when it comes to love, 1 + 1 = 2, but sometimes 1 + 1 = fish.
Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't expecting the fish. I'm like, yep. And I'm like, oh, fish.
Because it's like, why do you love that person?
Yeah.
Like, they've done everything wrong, or, so it's just weird. Like, sometimes you just have that love and affinity for someone. It's hard to explain. And that's what being human is.
Yeah.
And when we don't understand why that love is not given back, that's when we go into this super, I need to have this strategy, I need to have this persona to meet this expectation where I won't ever get hurt again.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most asinine things ever, because if you're in a healthy love, that person is going to hurt you, but not in the way of cheating, not in the way of verbally abusing you, or they may not show up to that thing, but it's like, are you going to give them the opportunity to come back? Are you going to give them an opportunity to repair?
Yeah.
And I like how he said this is not a gender thing. This is like a 21st century problem. And if we don't really address and become soft to the process of meeting our own expectations to let someone in, because you got to be reachable. That to me hit so home, because I know in my day before I found my relationship, I was unreachable. I was doing the persona of like, all right, I need to be that dude. That's the only way that I'm going to eventually find the person I want to find.
Yeah.
And that was me guarding myself, where I'm like, no one's going to hurt me like that ever again. And half the situationships I've gotten into, I wouldn't have gotten into that if I was truly being soft and being reachable. Because I fucked up some people I didn't fuck up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that was, my brother was, there's a lot of people who think they're single. I mean, think they're moving on and
are available.
They're just not.
Yeah. They're just not in a relationship currently, but relationship with their past problems and their traumas.
Yes. Is there something that you feel comfortable talking about when it comes to things that you feel that comes up for you in the dating process of, like, it's the illusion of, how do you know you're really giving somebody a chance?
I guess, like, I feel like sometimes in my relationships, situationships, any relationship I have, I feel like, because I'm always very much wanting to, like, hey, how can I help? When can I help? What do you need? Like, how can I relieve this stress off of you? And that's just, like, my natural thing, because I think I like being a problem solver just in my life in general. But I think I've been taken advantage enough, and then in return lied on the back end of being taken advantage enough, to where I know, not now, I'm in my process of healing and opening up, expecting that from people to do the same.
Yeah.
And, like, holding back what I like to do for other people, because I don't want them to be like, oh, look at this mark that I can just, that I could just, take all these things from and, like, live my life behind my back. Cause, like, I want You know, for the most part, I want you to chill. Like, I want you to feel like you can come to me for things, and I don't want you to feel like I'm just on your ass all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But with that freedom, you know, you can go act an ass all the time, and I'm just like, oh, I'm chill, whatever. And then I find out, and then I'm like, oh, not again, you know, whatever. So I think it's just, you know, not ignoring the red flags, communicating through the ones that you think that you see.
Yeah.
Because you might, you know, whatever color glasses you might be wearing, that green flag might seem red based off of
Yeah.
you've seen, you know, and it's like maybe you just have to talk about it and talk through it.
Yeah.
And hope for the best at this point.
Ooh. When you said, because this kind of hit home for me, when you were saying that you're on your person, why do you get on your person?
Because I always see like the potential in people and I see the best for them, and especially when they, you know, want to start a business or want to do better in any facet of their life, I'm here to support that. Because that's not easy to come to terms with you wanting to improve yourself. And so being on the side of a person's improvement, I feel like also brings you closer. All while saying, like, I'm not sitting here saying, oh, he's about to, you know, be LeBron James. Let me go ahead and help him shoot in the court, you know, like, or, you know, anything like that. Like, he's about to be next Elon Musk. Let me go ahead and, you know, take a little data class or some shit. You know, I'm not here to, like, get anything out of it. I just want to, like, see you do better.
Yeah.
And promote you and make you feel like even in the midst of you struggling to do better, you have someone that's here to support that. So that's where I like to come from.
So the reason why I ask you in that way is I feel when people get into arguments, discourse, and things of that manner, how you said that to me right now makes so much logical sense. Where like, oh, I want to speak life into and things like that. And when we are in the moment, we are heightened, and I don't think that comes across at all. I think like that, you know, the alter ego version of you is saying that because you care. Because if you even strip that away, it's like you care so much to put someone else ahead of you because you see how potentially great they are. And I'm just kind of like, I wonder what that look like because I want to keep bringing what Homeboy was saying, that softness, because I think people mistake softness as like you're weak. Sometimes we just talked about, sometimes you ain't got to say anything and it says a lot. You know? And for me, I just know there's something about a woman or a person where they just look at me and they're like, no. Or they're like, you got this.
Yeah.
And it's just like that calmness. And I think for me, because I don't want to make this gender, I think this is just like a universal thing. We have to know how to speak life into our partners. Yeah. And there's gonna be times where we're activated and things like that manner, but like have that Denzel moment, being like, all right, okay. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So yeah. It's just how you speak life into that person in conflict, not just like the everyday where like that person comes home late and you are right. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I think also, like, with that being said, I saw something that it was like talking about how conversations kind of go left when someone's like, well, I've done all these things for you. Like, you know, having an argument, then pointing out all these things you've done. And the person's like, well, don't do anything for me if you're just going to like hold it against over my head. But like someone said, if the conversation is, I'm trying to help you with all these things and doing all these things. And the conversation is that I don't feel like you're reciprocating any sort of that to me. Like, you see that I am having trouble lifting this trash bag and you're not helping me take it out. Or versus you see that I'm struggling with my work-life balance and you're not helping me. I think that conversation is okay. To say like, hey, why can't you hold this door open for me the same way I'm lifting the house up for you, you know? And so it's kind of hard because I'm not here to like hold anything. I do this because I like to do it. Yeah. But at the same time, am I going to notice that if I feel like you're tying my shoes together versus, you know, to help me tie my shoe in general, then I might have to bring it up. So
there's a art of talking about a problem in a non-blaming way where if you win, I win. If I lose, you lose. Where I feel like a partner should be able to say that when you're not doing this part, it affects me and we lose because I lose patience for this thing doesn't get done. And I think people don't think that they can say that, because saying that we fail means this is a bad relationship, or we have to look at society and history. Human society has come up, come down, rebuilt, destroyed, and it's like, if we really understand, like, I think it's like the stages of change, relapse is at the end of it. Like, you will eventually fail at something. And I know that's more going off with drugs and alcohol, but like, at the end of the day, your house will eventually get dirty again, no matter how much you clean it. And I'm not trying to say this to be hopeless, to not clean, but it's like, eventually your system's not going to work. And my thing is, instead of fixating, like homeboy was saying, fixating on this one strategy has to work, why can't there be multiple? And then also at the same time, are you reachable for adjustments?
No, he hit it. He did.
So
Bunch of bitter people around here acting like they're available, and they're not.
Man.
Which is okay to be bitter. It's fine. But you got to get over that eventually.
You do. And it even happens in relationship town. Like, I'd be like, you know, when I'm really there, I'd be like, you ain't got to take me to the train station. I'll do it myself.
Yeah, exactly.
And in the back of my head, I'd be like, you better not, you don't take me to the train station.
I'd be like, all right, I'll Uber to the airport. You know? Oh, you ain't gonna ask me.
Got the knapsack. I'm already out the door. I got to stop doing that. But to bring us home, because all this we're talking about is like taking a risk.
Yeah.
And in human society, it's, when I say this to you, I don't know how you feel. What's more riskier? Staying single or taking the plunge and getting married? What do you feel like is more riskier?
That's hard because there's so many steps between being single and getting married. Because if I'm single, I know what I'm coming home to. I know that pot I left in the stove dirty is still there. I know that, you know, it's going to be quiet when I come in. I mean, obviously, besides I have an animal there, my dog, but I know what I'm coming into when I'm single. I know if I'm late to work, it was my fault. Like, I can blame myself, and those are my expectations that I have. And that is a peace of mind to me, you know? Being married is not so simple. And I think, you know, hopefully at that point, you know, if I do the work and I find someone who doesn't irritate me more than half the time, I hope that they know that, you know, what works for us seamless to, you know, keep it less risky, you know. And I feel like but also like someone having your back and like knowing that you can rely on someone also is like chef's freaking kiss. Because I like being in relationships for the mere fact that I know if I trust someone,
yes,
and I know that if I don't get this done that they will, then I feel like, I want to say being single is more risky. I think you know what comes with your own territory, but I also think you don't have anyone to pick up on your shortcomings.
Oh, I like that. So I'm gonna get a little bit nerdy. So there's this one anime called Naruto, and are you familiar? So there's one episode they get done with a mission, and it's like the first like slice of life where you can see after all the battle and shit like that, everyone's going home to their family, and homeboy knocks on the door, and he says, "I'm home," and then there's like a scene and nobody's in that motherfucker. And he's taking off his shoes, his dinner's instant noodles, and just like he's watching a show, and like it's like also showing the other people on his team, they're with their family, with their partners, and he's just like in that motherfucker by himself. No pun intended, Will Smith me. Like, damn, y'all gonna leave me in this motherfucker?
Yeah.
So I think the reason I'm bringing that up is the reason why this is a question where I don't think people being by themselves is an issue. Like, you have to spend some of your time being single. I recommend, because building family is not for the weak, but also at the same time, both are risky.
Yeah.
Like, I think the whole pitch and portion of this is like, what are you more willing to take a risk of, because there is positives to, rich uncle, rich auntie life. There is positives to, being with the person gonna be there when you get off work. You can talk bullshit about the office with them, but it's kind of like how we talk about relationships. It seems more cooler to be like, all right, because this perfect person doesn't exist, I'll just die alone. And like, I know y'all not gonna like when I bring this man up. Kevin Samuels, like, oh, buy a dog, but like, if you like look at your life, if you just look at your life, just like at the end of your life, and no one is around, wouldn't that just be like fucking trippy?
No, it would. It sounds trippy right now.
It like I'm getting goosebumps.
Now the way you say it like that.
It's just like it's just like weird. Am I weird for thinking that?
Not at all. And then like also, there's no such thing as finding the perfect person.
Yeah.
And I don't really think there's anyone like 100% perfect for us, because we are always growing and changing our personalities. One day something that doesn't upset us will. So I think it's just like finding someone that balances you out.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
Because perfect's not that.
I like that.
I've told people I love you, but you get on my nerves. But I want to see you tomorrow and the next day and the next day. So. Okay. Who do
you think you need right now in your life to balance you out?
Jesus, I'm kidding.
Hey, yes, we all need him,
The Lord. Or whatever higher power you believe in,
Exactly. We're accepting of all.
Yes, exactly. But I think right now for myself, I need to learn how to balance myself before I expect anyone else to be able to, because I need to still know my own triggers, my own wants and needs, and being in a position where you're trying to like find more opportunities, grow a business, start a business. It's like you're constantly like weeble wobbling around. It would be nice, not to ignore a person that kind of like, puts a little coaster under your table to keep that shit from, going back and forth. So like he said, being open and soft for that. But I try to be like the spotter, like the person that sees everything and why people are the way they are, doing what they're doing. But there's also, while I'm looking this direction, there's something that's looking my direction. So if I could find someone that spots that shit that I'm not seeing while I'm sitting here looking at this motherfucker, then I think that would work out for me.
Okay. I respect that. I think when it comes to like this portion, it's just hard. And when I say it's hard, no matter what, history favors the bold, and a lot of everything we do does like have like a risk associated to it. And I think some of the best things we do. You're fine.
I keep saying
allergies. And I think why not take that risk?
Yeah.
And I think what you said was a pretty powerful statement, and I appreciate you sharing that and you being vulnerable to that, because a lot of people in the process, because it's different in relationship town is like taking a risk of like, are we going to share in the same city, or how do we figure out the taxes, or how do we work with the kids? And it's just something that some risks are willing to take.
Yeah.
So
I think most risks are willing to try out and take. I think learning how to recoup your losses if that happens is important as well. But I think sometimes not taking risks will keep you stagnant in what you're doing, and then the person that you thought wasn't gonna be your person could just be like, oh, and go by the wayside, So I think we're not living if we're not taking risks. Just don't bite off too much you can't chew, because so it's hard. Nice. It's like a balancing act. It really is. You know, and it's more so, what are you willing to risk? Should you trust, someone to be like, hey, I need $500 for a parlay, I'll give you half? No, you shouldn't risk that. Don't risk that at all. Or my boy told me he gonna ship in these tires, and please
ship in these tires.
I don't know.
Who's your crew?
They ain't my crew.
Okay.
I'm a bartender. I listen to all things.
Whoa.
But find someone who like genuinely wants the best for you, sees the best for them, loves themselves. I think that's very important. Self-love is the best love, because if you don't love yourself, you can't love anybody else. And take those little risks. And sometimes you're like, damn, that date was a waste of my time. But are you full? Did you have to pay for that meal?
Hey yo, free game. I always say this, and this is my last piece on it, is it's the 70-30 model I talk about when it comes to any level of relationship. Where, are you familiar with $1 million?
That sounds, wait, what is it?
70-30.
Yes.
All right, but are you familiar with $1 million?
Yes.
Meaning, one day we're gonna put our hands on $1 million. We're gonna keep speaking it.
Yes.
Speaking that.
Millions.
And I say in relationship, when you come to support a person, even when it comes to risking it for the biscuit, you gotta do that at a 30% clip. And the reason why I bring up $1 million is, if someone said, I'll give you 30% of $1 million, you could be like, yeah, that's enough. Yeah.
And shit.
Give me that 30%. For me, human life is $1 million. And if I'm your partner, I have to show up 30%. And that 30%, that looks like emotional support. That looks like me risking one of your ideas, risking one of your plans. But that 70%, that's on you. That's that self-regulation, where as long as I do my 30%, that 70 is on you, because you're your own person.
Yeah.
And I think I've always applied that. Am I doing my 30%? Because I think sometimes, to wrap it all together, when it comes to emotional labor, or when it comes to reaching, or what that guy was saying, when we go over that 30 and we're like 50, 60, 70, that's when it looks like some of the things we see on the internet.
Yeah.
That's
why they say all the craziest people's from the Bronx of all of Florida, because they trying to do 100% of something that takes two people.
Yeah.
So, as we speak millions into the air, hopefully 1 million people watch this and they really have a good conversation. You know, that's what relationship dynamics is about good people, good friends, just having dope conversations to be that pivoting point to why you enjoy your relationship more.
Exactly.
So, it's Cartier Rob.
It's Adriana.
And we back.
We back, baby. You'll see us again real soon.
Catch you later.